Hello, welcome to this Learn tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create a working clock in the Minecraft world. So this clock is going to be a digital clock, and you can use it to display either the time in Minecraft itself or the real world time, either way. I'll also do a future video as well looking at how you can create an analog clock rather than a digital one, but this one will do on digital. Okie dokie, so let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create yourself a Minecraft world. So what we do here is we'll just click create new world and set it to creative, and at the moment set it to flat. You can change this later, and also while we're building the code, make sure that you do not click always day. Don't click that. The reason being is that if you click always day, the way that Minecraft makes sure that it's always day is it fixes the time in Minecraft at 6 o'clock in the morning, and therefore your clock won't tick through. It'll just stay on one fixed time and it won't work, and you won't be able to debug it. Okay, so once we're inside the Minecraft world, we click C, and that brings up the code menu. Click on new project, and you can call yours whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine clock. There we go. Good. So what we need to do here is we're going to change that chat command to clock, so that whenever in chat we type clock, it displays the clock. Okie doke, good. So how do we get the time in Minecraft? Well, if we go on the gameplay menu here and we go to the time query game time, then that will tell us the time in Minecraft. So let's show you how that works. Now we don't want to do game time because that's the number of ticks since the beginning of the whole game. We've got two options we're going to use really. We're either going to use daytime, and that'll tell us the what time it is in Minecraft. So is it like daytime or night or something? Or we can use the real life time, which will tell us the actual time in the real world. So for the to get started, what we're going to do is we'll do the real life time because that's easy to check. So we'll do real life time, and then if you click run, and once we click run, press enter, and in the chat type clock, and then press enter again, you'll see that it has created a number here. It's printed out a number, and that is the real world time according to Minecraft. But as you can see, it looks nothing like the sort of time that we're expecting. The time at the moment is about 7:15 in the evening, so that doesn't resemble that at all. So we need to convert that into the time that we recognize it. So how do we do that? Well, this here has got two main problems. The first one is that Minecraft, its time, it does all the time in ticks, and the total number of ticks in one day is 24,000. So what we need to do here is take this time query and divide it by 24,000. So if we go to math and go to divide, so we take the real life time and divide it by 24,000. There we go, and that should give us something closer to the time we expect. Click start. Enter, and again press enter, type clock, and then press enter again, and now we're getting closer, and it says okay, it's just over halfway through the day, so it thinks it's about 12:30, 1 o'clock, which brings us on to the second problem with Minecraft, and that's that Minecraft starts counting. The day starts at 6 a.m. in Minecraft. So whereas for you and I, at the clocks, as soon as they get to midnight, it goes from 23:59 and resets back to 0. In Minecraft, it doesn't reset until 6 o'clock in the morning. So we need to adjust for that. And the way we do that is we say, okay, well, there's 24,000 ticks during the day, which means the 6 hours, the 6 o'clock that we've gone off, is 24 divided by 4, which is 6,000. So what we need to do is just take whatever time that it gives us here, and we will add 6,000 to it. So we go to math, we use the add, and we're adding 6,000. There we go. Drag that into there, and drag that into there. And now, if we click run, we should get somewhere nearer. press enter, clock, enter. There you go. We're about 0.8 of the way through the day, so just over 3/4 of the way through the day, which puts it at about 7 o'clock at night, which it is. But again, it's still not quite in human readable form, and we're going to convert that now. Okay, so we got this here. Well, let's just make that code a bit bigger so you can see it. So what we need to do now is we need to create a few variables for the things we're going to store. So what we're going to do is we're going to store the day decimal, which is that raw number that we've just created now. So what we'll do, instead of saying all of this, we'll take this raw number that we've just created and we'll set it to something called day decimal. So it's like the day, the kind of the fraction of the way through the day, the decimal. And then what we need to start to do is we need to start creating the hour. And we'll just do the other ones here. So let's create an hour variable, and that's going to store the hour. And the hour is going to be that day decimal here, which is like 0.8 at the moment, but we need to change that into an actual hour. And the way that we do that is we just multiply this number by 24 or thereabouts, and that should give us a pretty sensible number. So it's going to be the day decimal times by there you go there, thank you, times by 24, or near enough. If we click start now, and oops, no, we need to change that. What we want to do is let's say the hour. For the moment, we'll just say the hour so that we can check it and make sure it's working. So if we click start and enter clock and enter, and there you go. Good. So it's saying it's 19 o'clock plus a little bit, about a third of the way through. So it's about 19:20, which is about right. Now, we only want the hour to be the hour. So if you look at that hour here, we just want the 19. We just want to get rid of all this other bit, because for the hour, we just want this part of it. And the way that we do that is really quite simple. What we do is we go into the math section here, and instead of rounding up if it gets over 0.5, what we do is we use the floor. And what the floor does here is it just takes the hour and it just rounds it down. There we go. So now if we click run, here we go, start and enter. Oops, have I just done that right? Here we go. Oh no. We need to change the actual hour to the floor, not in there. Hang on. Let's put you back there and put you in there. Yeah. So we get the calculate the day decimal, multiply by 24. There we go. And then we just get rid of the extra bits. Okay, there. Let's have a look. Let's try that now. Okay, so click run. And so yeah, enter clock, and so there you go. So yeah, it's looking about there now. We've got a couple of things that we need to change, a few little bugs that we'll have to iron out in a minute, but the hour is looking about right, which means now we can move on to the minute. Good. So we're going to code the minute. So we need a variable called minutes. Hour, minutes, or minute. Just call it minute. There we go. There we go. So, now doing the minute, well, how do we do that? Well, it's a pretty similar procedure, really, actually. What we need to do to calculate the minutes, though, is that if you remember here when we did the day decimal, and it gave us a number like 0.57, and then when we converted it to an hour, before we used this floor thing here, it gave us an hour with a decimal. So it'd be like, instead of 7 o'clock, it would be 7.5 or 7.6. So this bit, the 0.6, is the fraction of an hour, which actually, if you get that and times it by 60, that will get you the number of minutes. So how do we do that? Well, we need this little bit here, because we need that bit there. And we need two things. What we need to do is we need to find the 0.6. And to find the 0.6 is pretty easy. All we do is we take this raw number here, which gave us like the 7.6 or something, and we just take off the 7. Well, how do we know the 7? Well, we can use this one here, which is the one we use for the whole hours, and put that in there. And what that will do is it will get the 7.6 or something and minus the 7, which will leave us just the 0.6 left. So that now should give us pretty much the minute. And what we'll do to test that out is we'll go to the advanced and we'll go to text. And what we'll do is we'll do a join now. Rather than just saying one of those at a time, we'll say the hour, then we'll do a colon, and then we'll click on a plus, and then we'll say the minute. And this now should, if we go like that, if we click run and press enter and do clock, there you go. So now what we're doing is we're getting, oh, what have we done there? Oh no, not times it by 60, have I? Oops. So we get this result here, and we need to multiply that result by 60. So times that by 60. Did look a bit odd, didn't it? Times by 60. And that will give us the number of minutes. There we go. Let's try that again. Click run. And clock. There we go. Brilliant. So now we're getting somewhere nearer. We got 1926. What you'll notice is here, again, it's got all this fraction. Now it's got a fraction on the minutes. And we can use the same technique as we did before, just using this floor here. Maths, round, and we'll change it to floor. And we'll just stick it all inside of the floor and put the floor in the minutes. And that will throw away all of the decimal. Let's try that out now. There you go, 1927. There we go, perfect. Good, so it looks like we're pretty much there, but there's a couple of things that we need to fix, and you can't quite see it just yet. And the reason being is that you need to go through all of the hours before we see what's happening, all the hours and all the minutes to see exactly what's happening. Now, we could keep on typing in clock, 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 clock to test it out, but that's going to take ages and it's going to be a lot of effort. It's much easier if we just use a loop, and we use a while true loop, which just loops infinitely. And if we put a while true loop in there like that, where when we run the command, it will just keep on saying the command. But what I'll do is, rather than getting it updating every, let's just type pause. Need the pause on. Rather than getting it to update like 100 times per second, we'll just get it to update every half a second or something. That should be plenty of time to debug. So let's have a look. Press enter, type in clock, enter. There you go. So now, about every second or so, it is updating. There we go. Oh, I've done something wrong there because it's not changing it. Great. Oh no, I know what I've done. There we go. Okay, so it is changing it. I've just realised what we need to do now is, because obviously we have, at the moment, we've got it set to the real time. If I wanted to test every single hour and minute in the day, I'm going to have to wait 24 hours, and that's no good. We want to test it much quicker. So what we do is let's change it from real life. And now we'll switch back to daytime, which gives us the time in the game. We press enter, type in clock, and let's have a look. There we go. And you can see here now we've come up to our first problem, is that our clock should only really go up to 23 hours. And yet it's going to go all the way up to 24, 5, 6, 7, and it's going to keep going a bit further. And the reason it's going to go a bit further is, if you remember here, we've added on 6 hours. Okay, we added on 6 hours to correct the time difference in the game, but that sort of messed things up a bit. So now what we need to do is we need to fix that problem by saying, okay, if we do go over 23 hours, we need to reset it to the time it should be. Now, that's actually really, really quite easy to do. What we do is we just use some logic, and we say, okay, if the hour is greater than, so where's my logic here? If the hour is greater than 23, so we know that it's gone past midnight, duplicate. If the hour is greater than 23, let's just put that in here. Then what we need to do is we need to change it back to the proper hour. So if the hour is 24 and it should be 0, then it's going to be whatever the hour is, which is 24, minus 24, which will get you 0. If the hour is 25, then the hour it should be 1, so we're going to minus 24 each time. So, how do we do that? Well, we just go to hour, and we go to math, and we say, okay, whatever the hour is, we're going to set the new hour to whatever the hour is minus 24. And that means now it'll only ever go up to a maximum of 23. Anything over that, and then it'll set it back to the proper time. Hopefully that'll fix it. Let's just check that. Clock. There you go. So now it's at 3:49 in the morning instead of 28:49 or whatever it will have been. Now we've got a couple more problems to fix here. The first one is it should be 03:49. And the second one is that when we're saying the time, the minutes, if the minutes is less than 10, it should be 4:00. So we don't say 4:01, we say 4:01. So basically, for both the hour and the minutes, if those numbers are, either of those numbers is less than 10, then we take that number and we just stick a 0 at the start of it. That's how we work in a 24-hour clock. So how do you do that? Well, we can just do that here. Now, in order to do this, when we convert it into a string, we're going to have to store it in a string because it doesn't like it if we try and put it back in the hour thing. So we need a string version of hours. So we'll call this string hour because that's going to be the string version of the hour. And we need the same for the minutes as well. So string minute. And these are the actual minutes and the hours that we're going to use. So there you go. So we need to fix both of those. And we need to use another if statement here, similar to what we've got here. And so we do another logic. And we go, okay, let's put that here. Where's that going now? There we go. And this one we're going to say if it's less than. So if the, let's do the hour first. If the hour is less than 10, then we need to set the hour to whatever the hour is plus a 0 at the start. And the way we do that is we use the join function. Really quite simple. There we go. So if the hour is less than 10, then we set the hour to 0 in front and then whatever the hour is. There we go. Good. Now, of course, we're then going to have to change this to the string hour. Which means that we need to say, okay, we're only ever using the string hour, so we also need to do an else in here, because if it's not less than 10, we also need to set the string hour to whatever the hour is. Now, there's a slight problem there, is that if I put that there, what it will do, string hour, where are we at? String hour. Nope, string hour. There's a slight problem there, is that it probably won't like that. There you go, it doesn't like it. And the reason it doesn't like it is because this needs to be a string. So we actually need to join it here. But we're just going to join it with nothing. It's just a little trick. For some reason, this version of Python, I don't think it's like a real version of Python, it won't let you do dynamic variable. Once you've created a variable and made it one type, like an integer, which is what these are, it doesn't like you changing it to a string. In fact, I don't think it's real Python, but hey-ho. So, there you go. If the hour is less than 10, we set the string hour to that. And if it's not less than 10, then we just don't bother and we just leave it as the original. And then we do pretty much exactly the same with the minutes, really. There we go. So we'll just change that to minute. If the minute is less than 10, we set string minutes to whatever the minute is. And the string, if it is over 10, then, I'll tell you more, we just leave it as it is. Oh, join minute. There you go. So hour, string hour, hour, string hour, minute, string minute, string minute, string minutes. There we go. String minutes. There you go. So now if we click play and we just do clock and enter, there you go. So 08:31 in the morning. Good. Brilliant. Good, 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 good. Okay, so our clock now is pretty much working. All we need to do now is get it displaying in blocks in the world, which actually is pretty easy. So in order to do that, we need to create ourselves two functions here. Let's just zoom out. It's pretty big, that. In fact, I'll leave it zoomed in. There we go. So the first one we need to do is we create ourselves a new chat command. And when we're building in the world, we need to tell it where in the world we're going to build the clock. Now you can do it lots of different ways, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a simple chat command called build here, where you walk to the place where you want the time to display, and then you say build here, and then when you run the chat command for the clock, it will start the clock wherever you've told it to. So in order to do that, we need some more variables. We need an X and a Y and a Z, because these are going to store the position of where you were at. So what we do there is, okay, here we go, X, Y, Z, and we're going to take each of those there and we're going to save those into some variables. So set X, and we'll just duplicate that, set Y, and set Z. And what we need to do now is we need to go and get the player's world position. So the way we do that is we get the player world position, because that's going to find the position for each bit. And here we need to use this block here. So set X to, here we go, oops, and it's going to look like that. Let's just get rid of that bit. So whenever we say build here, what we're going to do is we're going to get the player's world position, we're going to get their X coordinate of the position and save it to X. And then we'll do the same with Y, and we'll do the same with Z. So whenever you run this command, it will populate all three of those variables with the location of where to build it. And once that's done there, we go back to our clock here, and we don't need the say anymore, but we'll leave that in there for the moment. Then we go to our blocks menu, and we're going to use this print hello. Let's do it above there. We're not going to print hello. We're going to print this one here, which is the hour colon minute. And let's change that to some wool. There you go, some pink wool. And where are we going to place it? Well, what we need to do now is we go to a world position here, and we populate the X, the Y, and the Z with those variables here that we've just stored. X, Y, Z. There we go, good. So now what it will do is when we, first thing we do if we click run, what we need to do is just move to the position that we want our clock to display. So let's say I want to put it up here. Press enter and type build here. And now it's remembered where to build. And I'll move back and enter and just type in clock. And there you go. And you now have a working clock in the Minecraft world. Yeah, brilliant. Good. There we go. So this should all work fine, which is great. You probably don't want your clock to update that quickly. Obviously, if the time in the real world this clock's only really going to change once a minute. So you probably want to change this pause and just pause your script for, update the script every 60 seconds, something like that. Or maybe do 59 seconds or something, I don't know. No, I'll do 60 seconds. There you go. So every, not 60 milliseconds, 6,000 milliseconds. Nope, that's 6 seconds. 60,000 milliseconds, that's more like it. So there you go. So you can pause it and you can get it to update every 60 seconds, which is fine. And you can do that. If you want to change it so it displays the real time, then you can just click real life and we click run. Let's see if that works. Let's move to a new position. There we go, enter, build here, and then we'll move out of the way, clock. There you go. And that's the actual time in the real world here. Okie dokie. There you go. So if there's any problems whatsoever, just drop a comment. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos that you'd like me to do, any requests, then just pop a comment in the video. And of course, if you do like my channel, then feel free to like the video and subscribe. Okie dokie. Thank you very much.